Go Wildcats.
Okay, welcome to our final Cinder meeting for September and also for Xena. So the first announcement is update your meeting agenda link. Trying to copy it out of the video, which doesn't work. So it's the usual, but with yoga instead of Xena. All right, so topic announcements. So I'm sort of starting yoga like a week early, but I mean, whatever. The PTG is kind of late, so I don't know that starting yoga early makes up for it. But so the meeting agenda will be there. All right, so mentioning the PTG coming up late. Well, the PTG is coming up, so 18 October is the PTG. The usual deal, please register if you haven't yet. So let me give you the link for that. It's free, but you sign the code of conduct, I guess, is the main reason to have you do this. And also, I guess the foundation wants to spam you with stuff. But also, we need to do some planning. So there are topics showing up on the list, which is nice. Feel free to add more. So I'll finalize things the week before the PTG. But anyway, basically how things work. And if you don't, it feels to me like I've been doing this forever, although it's only been a couple of years. Right, if you're new, not sure how things work, ping me in IRC or ping anybody. It's very informal. We'll be meeting. The times are on the Etherpad for the proposed schedule, so you can sort of block out the times. It's in a video conference. Nothing you can do about that. So you may have to make adjustments for your schedule, sleep, and stuff so that you fit in what we're doing. But we're pretty informal, so put a topic on there. We tend to just start at the beginning and discuss stuff as much as it needs and then move on to the next thing. So we're not real tied to the particular times that may show up on the schedule, except for some cross-project things. So the Glance team has asked for 2 meetings with us, so I'll get those on the schedule soon. And then we have a meeting with the, I forget what they call themselves now, the Interoperability Working Group, to discuss what kind of stuff we might need to add as, I forget what, capabilities or something. But anyway, we'll meet with them to find out what exactly they're doing now and what we need to do to stay relevant in this interoperable kind of world. But those are the only things. Maybe something with Nova if something comes up. Should probably reach out to Lee and see if he wants to bring up the attachment thing that we always discuss, and maybe we'll do something about. So anyway, lots of fun. So start planning. Okay, and then as far as like things for now, RC2 is supposed to be cut this week, like either today or tomorrow. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. Might as well write this down though. And then that will be the last, that should become the release candidate unless somebody finds a security bug or like a horrible regression. But from this point on, just normal bugs are normal bugs, basically. I guess in other news, you may have noticed the gates were broken last, well, I don't know how long it was, but it was a while. But they got repaired around, 22:30 UTC yesterday. So all the DevStack-based jobs should be working again. So we can start rechecking and seeing what happens. It turns out there was a security update done for Apache web server that modified something because of a CVE, having to do with redirects, I think. And the change they made broke one of the redirects we were using, and DevStack could not, well, something could not verify the placement was running and was just, stopping the install. So we weren't getting anywhere. But anyway, that's fixed, so that's good. Okay, and that's basically it for announcements. Although, I guess I was going to talk about RC2, so I will talk about it. All right, so let's change, so I'll make this a topic, actually. Looking in the wrong place again. Okay. All right, so the good news is most of the stuff that we had identified as needing to get into RC2 has made it. If you open up that, sorry, I'm not keeping track here, topic. Okay. All right. There are a couple of stalled bugs that are, well, they would have been really good to get in, but it's not going to happen. So the two are don't manage to an encrypted volume type, which I don't imagine a lot of people are doing because they would have discovered that it's not good to do. But we would like to make that more formal. And then cgroup v2, I'm working on that and didn't get that completed. I'm not going to have it tested for tomorrow. Basically what's happened with cgroup v2 is that some operating systems are no longer supporting cgroup v1. We use cgroup v1 if you enable throttling, which would depend on what your Cinder setup is. So I don't know how many people actually do use the throttling. So we need to change it to use cgroup v2. Up until now, it's been a thing where you could enable cgroup v1, I think, as like a kernel parameter, but some distributions have removed even that possibility. So I guess what I'll do is put up a release note, just identifying this as a known issue and saying there'll be a fix coming along with a link to the bug. I guess I should do the same thing for the encrypted volume type, just in case somebody suddenly decides to start doing it, that they can know not to do it. So I'll ping people directly. Those would be, I'll have to make those directly to the Xena branch. So I'll ping some stable cores to approve that. Are there any other really important bugs that would have been nice? Let me put it this way. Are there any known issues I need to mention so that people don't do them until the next? So we'll do a point release pretty quickly, is what I'm trying to say. But we should probably warn people not to do at least these two particular things right now. So is anyone aware of anything?
Well, maybe we can mention the race condition that we have that from this patch, the one that affects Cinder CSI.
Oh. So is that the one that's like a stack of 4 patches or something?
Yep. 2 are merged already. Yep.
Okay.
I think just mention that it's a known
issue.
Because yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have a link to that? Or
I just pasted it in Blue Jeans.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's
I'll
fine.
add it.
Okay. Okay, I'll put that one in too. So we'll try to get those merged really early. Well, once the release is right? We can merge into master as soon as we can. So those are high priority things to continue to work on. It's just that they won't be in the first release. Okay. If anything else occurs to you, ping me and let me know. Otherwise, I'll get that patch up shortly after the meeting, and then I think we'll be ready to cut RC2. So please continue to test, but at this point, only a security issue or like a horrible regression would be something that would cause us to cut a third release candidate. So we're basically in pretty good shape, I guess. Okay, any questions? We got some requests for the Dell EMC Power Vault driver. So yeah, people have time to look at those. I think they're mostly small patches. We've been pretty liberal with backports for drivers since, you know, they aren't going to destabilize Cinder. And then those restore Ceph backups to non-RBD volumes. Right, that patch is
I'm
sitting.
not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure because RBD related, but maybe we could say something.
Yeah, I guess we could mention that it's a known issue that you can't do it, and that there's a bug filed and a fix on the way. So I'm not against that.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Okay. All right, I'll put maybe. Yeah, I mean, all right. I will. Yeah, I've seen the patch, so I know we've almost got a fix for that. So might as well alert people not to do it, so that they don't try it and then find out that it fails and get upset. Okay, anything else along those lines? No. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. All right, this one. All right, so I was looking at, actually Simon had brought this up a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if he's here, and I didn't follow up formally. I don't know why it is, but for some reason the next release cycle has some dates, particularly Milestone 2 falls right around the Christmas holidays for a lot of people, where we don't have a lot of people around to do reviews, and so that's kind of a problem. So let me give you a link. Now let me type first and then talk, because I can't do both. Where did the thing go? All right, so I didn't put up a patch yet, because I wanted to get some feedback first. So actually, let me. All right, so that's roughly what we're looking at schedule-wise. So let me see. I have to open it myself. Where'd it go?
I like the idea to move new driver deadline a bit more forward because of New Year and Christmas holidays.
Okay. So, okay, good. So then that's good feedback. So it would be about R12 following everything else. I mean, following our usual practice. I mean, the Yoga 2 milestone is set by OpenStack, so we can't tell them to move the milestone 2. But so I'm proposing 2 weeks. It's when Manila has their driver deadline, so it'll make it easier to remember, because I don't know, or not. But anyway, it would give us roughly 2 weeks more to get reviews done, which seems to be something we need. So I think that, I mean, the downside is that, well, I don't know if there's a downside. Let me be optimistic. This is a great new change. So anyway, probably I think it's good to keep it at milestone 2 because everybody has that in their head. So I'm not suggesting we do this forever. But I think for this particular, given the schedule now, I think we should do it. So I would welcome feedback. Now, the other thing was, all right, so the R minus 18 happens, all right, actually, sorry. What I meant to say before I got started was I only put like holidays on here that I'm aware of because I'm aware of them. But there are probably other events in other places that we should also be aware of. So please take a look if there are any, if there's like a big holiday for your particular locale, please add it here if it's on one of these so that we know, because it may affect when we can do things. So one thing that's affected is R minus 18 is, so we usually have our mid cycles at R minus 18 and R minus 9. R minus 18 is Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. So I think a lot of people will take Thursday and Friday. I think a lot of people have Thursday and Friday off. And then a lot of people also take Wednesday since they have Thursday and Friday off. You might as well do that. And possibly other people might take Monday off. So I don't know what to quite do about that. So basically, if we want to do it R minus 18, we'd probably have to have the mid-cycle on Monday or Tuesday of that week. Or we could move it the week before or the week after. If we move it the week after, we probably would want to have it Wednesday or Thursday in case people take the first part of the week off. I don't know if anyone has any preferences or feedback. We usually try to do that so we can give people time to discuss specs that they're working on, so we can give feedback and get all that stuff worked out before the spec freeze, which happens R minus 15. So the week of December 13th. So I don't know. Anyone have any thoughts? Well, in terms of thinking, I mean, so
take silence as acquiescence.
Yeah, but I don't. What I've proposed is that we do one of 3 things. So
no, acquiescence to what you. I think we should do it the week after, and then that nicely then gels in with pushing back the driver release by a week or 2 weeks as well.
That's true. So R17. Now we've been doing the mid-cycle. We've been using like one of the meeting hours for that. So that seems to have worked pretty well. So probably we would do the mid-cycle on Wednesday. So if we do it the week after Thanksgiving, as far as everybody knows, they'll be around. Okay, so let me put it this way. This is a proposed schedule. So if you need to go look at your calendar or consult with your family or something, or whoever keeps the, is the keeper of the schedule in your household, get back. Because what I'll do is next week I'll propose this. So I won't propose the patch to the big schedule until next week. So if something occurs to you, please come back and leave a note on this page. All right, so what we'll do then, let's go ahead. Trying to.
And I think, I think given the schedule, that's as good as we can get. I mean, because it seems like R19 is early, and then when you start getting into December, people are going to start disappearing. So, and usually people do vacation Thanksgiving-wise before, not after.
Okay. So the one thing, so for people, it's going to cut down the time in between the mid-cycle and the spec freeze by a week. All right, but if everyone's aware of that, right, you can always come to a Cinder meeting if you have questions about a spec you're working on. You don't have to wait for the mid-cycle. So as long as everybody's on the same page and can plan, that's good. Okay, so then I think that was the main thing. So the other mid-cycle at R-9 seems fine as far as I know. So again, if right there's a holiday in your locale, let me know, please. And then that's basically it. So okay, so we've got we'll move the new driver deadline 2 weeks, and then hopefully everyone can have a Merry Christmas because of that. Okay. Any questions? All right. One thing I do want to mention is we've got so for brick, we need to give it some love like early in the cycle. So just please be aware of that. We've got the agent that was proposed that's missed the Xena deadline due to review bandwidth. So we should probably devote some review time to brick early on is what I'm proposing. So I guess in order to do that, Cinder is declaring that yoga starts at week R-25, which actually isn't a week on the OpenStack schedule, but we'll do it anyway. So we can make that brick week and get an early brick release out, and then we can get feedback on how that stuff's working. Okay, any questions? All right, so just my ask for the team, please check your schedules to see if there are any major holidays that are going to interfere with what we're trying to plan. And if there are, let me know. Put a note on the Etherpad. And then that's it from me. So let's go back to the regular event. Okay, so that seems okay. All right, next topic is I'm trying to copy out of again, I'm looking in the wrong place. Okay, OS brick patch. Okay, so just as a side point here, I'm not sure who proposed this one, but
That was me.
Okay, is going to go to extended maintenance shortly after the Xena release. Now we have a little bit of control over that because we can sort of hold it up until we get everything in there that we need for the final release. But it is something to keep in mind. I mean, is pretty far down the list, so if there's a bug fix or something that you want to get into needs to get into master and then get back ported all the way down there as soon as possible. Now, with the extended maintenance branches, what we do is we don't release from them anymore, but we can merge patches as a courtesy, and then people can build their own distros out of that, or they can, just get the patches out if they want. So it's not the end of the world, but if there are things that you want to get into the final U release, we need to start working on those now. Okay, so with that out of the way, so which patch is this one?
This is the one where the iSCSI connection times out, doesn't connect after a reboot.
Okay. Yeah, I looked. Okay.
Check for error 6 and retrying.
Okay.
So this has been tested. Actually, the patch came in from the customer who found it.
Oh.
So great that we've got a customer adding patches in. They've tested it. It all does what it's supposed to do. And we just need to get it approved and rolled back down to you, which is where they found it.
Okay. Yeah, Gorka, if you get a minute, I wouldn't mind if you take a look at it. It basically introduces a retry. I just wanted to see if you were okay with the way it does that. Other than that, it looks good. It's got test coverage, and seems to be fine. Looks like Yvonne already likes it, so that's good too. Okay, so right. So basically, we need to look that one over. All right.
Yeah, once that one gets merged, I'll manage the backports.
Okay, great. Okay, next one up is Rajat.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Uh, so there was this format info feature which I implemented in Wallaby. So what I did was change the format auto detection in file system type drivers to manual detection. And at the last moment, there was an issue with groups, like it couldn't work properly with groups. And I did a workaround for it, and it was merged at that moment. But later, Gorka looked at it again, and he found out like we should just fix this problem. And he found out that it was a problem with our OVO code with consistency groups. So this is a fix for that. Like we need to get this to Wallaby to make that feature work actually for groups also. Like right now it falls back to old functionality, like it doesn't include that format information if the volume is a part of group. But with this fix we can get that in. So just wanted to, like, there are no reviews on it till now. Just wanted to, for awareness, like get some reviews on it.
Okay, thanks. All right, so please prioritize that as something to review also. All right, let me put a link to your. Okay. All right, next topic is me. Okay, so for this one, so I came across the issue where Python Cinder client functional jobs run in DevStack, and they were intermittently failing because they were hitting the default quota of 10 for volume creation, and because we're running a whole bunch of tests in like 8 threads, depending on what kind of machine you land on for CI. You got all these tests happening at the same time, so it's easy to go over limit. So I put up a patch that I thought fixed that, and then saw a test failure that indicated that it didn't fix it. So I looked a little more closely, and Rajat had actually noticed this on the original patch, that there was a weird message in the log saying something about the quota volume was being used, but it really doesn't do anything. And in fact, that's correct. So we have the quota, we have quota volume, quota snapshots, and quota something else, I guess quota backups maybe. And what they are actually used, so they may have been used at some point in the past to actually set the limit for people, but we have the database quota driver. And what that thing does is it stores the max limit in the database table. And where it gets the max limit is from the setting in the conf file, but it does that when you do the DB sync and install the database tables. So if you make any changes to the configuration after the database has been generated, it does nothing. And that was the point of that message. So anyway, so it turns out that we can't use, so just in case you want to put together a DevStack based job for Zuul, which I encourage everyone to do, there's this post config thing where before the services are started, DevStack will just grab whatever you specify as post config and then update the config file for that service. So it gives you a lot of flexibility about setting up all your configuration. And then the service is started. So unfortunately, we miss out So that's why it doesn't work for us, because that happens after the database has already been installed. So I got to patch up. So this is a long story, sorry. So basically, I put together a test this time that goes over quota to break it, so we know for sure that it's actually fixed, and it is. But I have to make some DevStack changes because we need to expose environment variables that DevStack can use to set these things before the database gets installed. So that's so what I'm trying to get to is, so I need some +1s on the DevStack patch so that the QA team knows that this isn't like a half-baked idea. We'll merge this, because until they merge it, we're kind of out of luck. So that's the DevStack patch. It's a pretty simple patch, but we have to do it. So anyway, that's the ask there. Okay, and that should fix the quota issue. The only place we've been running into it is on the Python Cinder client jobs. And it kind of sucks when that happens, because those jobs take about 40 minutes to set up DevStack and 2 minutes to run the tests. So if you have a test failure, that's kind of a drag. But also that means there's plenty of room we can implement as many more tests as we want there, because since the setup time is 40 minutes and we're only using 2 to do our tests, we might as well, we could triple our testing time and still not add much to the overall CI time. Anyway, okay. Any questions or comments or anything? Okay. All right. Request from the NetApp team is this. Okay, so Fabio, I think you're here. This is your topic.
Okay. It's just a fix proposed to solve the CI issue that we are having on Solidifier CI. It was 2 patches, but they kind of depend on each other, then I had to merge them. And there are several other patches that are receiving -1s because of the CI Solidifier fading, and it's due to this. That's it. I don't have more to. If you have any questions, I can.
No, I was just looking at that. I was looking at, I guess that patch you got listed here earlier. It looks like some of the other drivers do the same thing, where they check for both available or retyping as legitimate statuses for the volume. I guess I was thinking at first maybe you should only be checking for retyping if it's already set before you hit there, but I'm not that familiar with that section of the code, so I don't know if that's a good suggestion. But anyway,
Yeah,
everybody else is checking both, so there's no reason why you shouldn't also.
yeah. In case you run, like, for example, Cinder migrate, to migrate between pools, you are going to have a scenario where the volume is still available. So we are not getting a retype status, and I think this is the reason why we have we are checking both available and retype. If I remember correctly, yeah.
No, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I figured it was something you had run into. So, okay.
And we should probably document it at some point so that driver developers don't go crazy trying to figure things out based on other drivers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, yeah. So I've finished reviewing that after the meeting, but the patch looked good. The only, I was going to leave I'm not sure if I left a comment. I had to reboot because I couldn't get BlueJeans to open on my system, so I lost all my windows. And I hate doing restore in Chrome because usually there's a memory leak and I don't want to get that restarted. So the only thing I noticed was the log message hasn't changed. So the log message still says it's available. And I guess that's sort of
Simon downvoted it for that one.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Mark already looked at it, so then I will. Okay. All right. I had a theory about that, but I will just be quiet because it's already downloaded. Okay, so quick change. The gates are working as far as I know, so it should be as fast as usual. So about 2 hours to get through everything. But I think we're good. Okay. All right, and then a topic that seems to be happening more than would be nice.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so I noticed you'd reported something to Nova, or somebody
Yeah.
mentioned it in the Nova channel or something. Okay, Yvonne, I'll let you describe this one.
So until we've got some issues with our CI, we merged patch to OS Brick, which breaks Nova. So
That's not
How
NVMe,
does it actually break Nova?
NVMe attach doesn't work. Okay, let me point to the specific line of code.
Is it the one where Lee's made a comment?
Yeah.
I see.
All right. I was going to feel real bad about plus twoing that patch, except I see that Yvonne, you also did, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Oh man, so okay.
But it's maybe not this current patch, but oh, it returns a list for device path, and Nova expects that it is a single value, and that's why we cannot connect volume. There is a bug in Nova and in OS Brick. You can see some logs there.
Yeah, and that's because NVMe works in a different way to iSCSI. You have to do it this way. NVMe is not like iSCSI. It's very similar, but when you start getting down to the paths and the way it does things, it also depends on whether you're using NVMe native multipathing or DM multipath. And that's where this all breaks anyway because of multipathing. So when we get down to, that's part of this, one of the things I want to put into the PTG is where we go with NVMe next, because it's just broken in general and doesn't support multipath, and it needs to. And then this will all have to change anyway.
Okay, I agree. But what is the correct way to fix this? Because I'm not expecting multipath. What is the expected behavior from Nova side? Should we use first device or select someone or attach several devices to VM?
So it's difficult because when the driver was originally, that connector was originally written, it was all about local NVMe devices. wasn't around externally connected NVMe devices. So coming from things like Dells and Pures and NetApps and things like that over NVMe, over Rocky or TCP or Fibre Channel. In fact, Fibre Channel work on this anyway. And at that point, things start to get strange because of the way that it presents the device, and it does create multiple devices, and they are slightly different potentially. I think this patch was put in by Dell, wasn't it? Can't remember how this does it now. It's a while since I looked at it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a Dell patch.
Yeah, and they've done it because, I mean, you know, this is for, I think, for their power store device that supports NVMe over Rocky. It's really difficult to test because when I try and test it on my NVMe solutions, it doesn't work, period, because multipathing isn't supported. So, you know, there's a whole, as I say, there's a whole bunch of work that needs to be done in this connector. So I'm not sure what we do about this patch. If it breaks Nova, it breaks Nova, and we shouldn't allow it in.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Zohar. So I see you are pointing at the certain line in the patch, and is this is specifically the disconnect that what is causing the issue? I see it's under disconnect volume. Yeah, for
Oh,
the
the
OS
issue
brick.
with volume connect.
No, it's in Connect.
It is in connect.
Yeah.
Okay. So that line is it's just confused me. This line's 364. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like the wrong line was pasted.
Okay. So
Oh,
what
wait.
I want to mention about the disconnect part is that as from the patch topic, see that it's meant for support for multiple volumes within the same subsystem. So if we have only one volume per subsystem, then it's completely fine to disconnect the subsystem that you connected to when you're disconnecting from that one volume. But when you have multiple volumes in a subsystem, you can run into race conditions, and you can run into situations when you can accidentally disconnect a subsystem that has another volume connected to it due to certain conditions such as race conditions. And this is why I am pretty sure this patch decided not to do this disconnect part, this try disconnect volume. But if this is not unrelated, then sorry.
I thought this was the Connect problem we were looking at here, not.
Yeah. So if it is the connect problem, then it is not going to help what I'm saying. But I'm just mentioning it from completion.
Yeah, I think we got wires crossed here because Simon was talking about work that needs to be done for disconnect, but we're specifically looking at the connect issue.
There's a lot of problems anyway. Even
yeah,
multipath connect doesn't work as well. So
yeah, there is no multipath connect directly implemented right now, so that's just not supported yet. And yeah, there's definitely plenty of work to clean up the connector in general.
So the question is, if this breaks Nova, then we shouldn't allow it in. But then why is the Nova bug being reported against a patch that's not merged? In that case, Ivan.
No, I think it is merged, right?
Is this merged?
Yes. So it's been merged already.
Okay, sorry. No fault. My bad.
Yeah, August 19th. So it's been over a month. I guess the question is, so is the right place to fix this in Brick or in Nova?
Yes, that's the question.
Because so we used to just give you the one entry, and now we're giving a list.
I suspect what's going to happen is that this Nova patch that Ivana's pushed up 8.1.1.4.1.3, is put on the list. That's basically taking it's regressing what we did, okay, in that patch. So instead of it takes the list and just takes the first entry out of the list. So it's a simple fix for Nova, but I suspect Nova is just going to break anyway when we start doing other things with this sort of code. So, I mean, I think the Nova fix is probably the simplest and easiest way of doing this in the short term, given we're going to have to do a lot of changes in the OS Brick connector for NVMe anyway.
It's pretty easy to fix it in Nova if we expect only one device should be used, but what
This is
should
where it
be
gets
done?
interesting because, yeah, I mean, Nova is this is where NVMe is getting, because it's so new, it's changing quite rapidly, and especially when we do start to put multipath in, it's going to, this Nova's, we're going to have to fix Nova as well, I suspect, to deal with multipath NVMe. But also, I know we only support Linux, but AIX does really weird things with NVMe on hosts and ends up providing different NQNs for multiple connectors, even though you're only supposed to have one. They end up providing multiple ones, and that's going to break this as well. I know we don't really officially support AIX, but PowerVC as an OpenStack platform does. So there's a weird edge case that's going to break anyway because of some strange stuff that AIX does. I mean, in the short term, I think this patch for Nova is probably the easiest way out.
One question, why would we want to return multiple paths in the connect volume for this case, for NVMe?
Because you have to connect to you have to go and connect to each particular device. You have to go and connect to each target port on the array. On the target array, you have to connect to each individual one. Otherwise, it doesn't create the devices. And it creates individual devices for each.
What I mean is Nova going to be able to do anything about it? Because Nova doesn't support multipathing in the hypervisor, right? So returning multiple devices has no benefit for them.
That's true.
So from their point of view, we have to provide always a single path, because Liberty is not going to be able to say, oh, I have 3 different devices for the same one, let me connect them all and do something with it. They are always going to have to pick one. So we might as well do it ourselves, which I think is what Ivan was proposing. Just return the first entry if there is an entry, and that's it. Because if we get multiple individual devices, what we need to return if we're going to be doing multipathing is a single one. I don't care if it's using, like we do with iSCSI using the device mapper or whatever, but we cannot return multiple paths. I think.
Okay. So, yeah, just looking at this, that merged patch for the connector again, I think the original line 341 should have been left, shouldn't have been taken out. And that's what's caused the problem, because the new routine get device path by NGUID only returns one entry anyway. I suspect that's why the submitter took out line 341, but line 341 is still required when you're not using NGUID. You're just using regular device path.
Which line did you say? Sorry, I'm a little lost. So which one?
So if you go and look at the base.
Oh, I see it now. Yes.
341 in the base. Yeah, that was taken out, and it shouldn't have been. And I suspect it was taken out because the new in the in patch set 7 line 362, that routine only returns one entry. And so I suspect 341 was taken out by mistake, and it should be left in if line 364 in patch set 7 actually runs. So I think that's actually a bug in that patch.
Yep. Like Lee says, regression. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. And yeah, to answer Ivan's question, yeah, OS break seems the right place to fix this. And it's like Simon has said, a problem with removing a line.
Yeah, I think a small patch just to put that original line 341 back will fix the issue.
I just wonder,
that will resolve Nova's problems.
So why are multiple devices being returned in the first place? Anybody know?
Nope, that was my question as well. Like, yep.
Yeah, I'd have to go run this through an NVMe system and find it. I don't remember exactly how this works now.
And do we have anybody that has submitted this patch or that worked on this patch here?
Okay. Yeah, we need someone from Dell.
Okay.
Yeah, I do know who submitted it, but unfortunately I don't have the relevant details to answer for him. But I'll speak with him tomorrow, and yeah, I can get back to you.
Yeah, give him a heads up that we're about to make this change.
Sure, will do.
Because he may be expecting to get a list of stuff somewhere else. Okay.
So yeah, I'm just looking at line 365 there on the submitted stuff. So it's actually assigning a list of paths, is it? To device info path.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very misleading because the method name is get device path, so you would think that's just one. Yeah, okay. I'll speak with him. And did you say that the solution was just to put that line back in, or just put in the path?
Yeah, I think the solution is to in the base before the patch, the line 341, which says device path equals path, then take there's the first entry out of the list.
Mm-hmm.
If we just put that underneath line 364 in the merged version.
Yeah.
In fact, it might even be line 365. Just add
in the else part.
I don't think so. Look at 365. 365 is very similar to 341, just without the.
Yeah. I'm just wondering there, is it within the else that should go? Can we confirm that get device path by NGUID only brings back one path?
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Where it brings it back as the list.
Yeah, okay.
It might not send it back as a list, though.
Yeah, so I can confirm that anyway. Yeah.
So I think he did do this on purpose, though, right? If you look at line 367 and compare that to 343 in the base. So I don't think it was just an oversight. But
yeah, I think Ellen pinpointed the problem is that our naming says path in the method, so he probably assumed that it should return a single one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The problem is, I see what the problem is. Like if you go to line 215 in the merged patch, what is returning is the first entry of a list. If he doesn't return, if we just take that first entry, that split off, and just return paths,
but
and then
that could probably be syntactically incorrect, because what it's returning is running a command to read a link, and it returns the first. It's not a list of entries, I think. What it's returning, it is that the data is actually in the first position before a space, you know. So that's why that method should still return a single entry, I think.
But it would still be valid even if we return a whole list of something that isn't necessarily appropriate information. If we then just take that first entry,
it fixes the problem, but it returns. It fixes the problem, but when somebody would debug that, they couldn't understand why we return suddenly a bunch of stuff that is not relevant.
In that case, then.
But of course, it could also
return a list.
It could return a list. Yep. It could return a list, and then we always get the first entry solved.
Even if it's only one entry long, yeah. So that would be the best thing to do, is change that new subroutine to return a list.
Yeah, it could be that way. It could be consistent with what the other method returns as well.
Yeah. That makes sense, everyone.
Yeah, I will speak with Vlad on this.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good to me. I will push patch to OS break and see if our CI will succeed.
Okay.
Thanks, Evan.
I'll keep an eye on that. So, are we going to need to do a new OS brick release for Xena?
Yes, and probably we need to backport it to Xena, stable Xena.
Right. Okay. So then that's all right. Yeah. So ping me as soon as you have that patch up, and then also when you get the CI result back, and then we'll have to backport it. We'll have to propose a release. We'll have to get a release exception from the release team, because they won't want to release out of Xena. And then I think if they approve the release, that automatically approves it for inclusion in upper constraints. But it shouldn't be a problem, since this is breaking Nova. So they usually like to keep Nova unbroken. So that will help. Okay.
So important.
So I guess the main thing is, yeah, we got to work on this fast, because we're running out of time. So, okay, thanks, Yvonne.
It would be nice if we could get that other iSCSI patch in OS Brick at the same time if we are going to do a release.
Right, now with the iSCSI patch, what are the odds of that? We're already over time for the meeting, sorry.
You're fired.
Yeah, please. If I had known that I only had to let the meeting run over. Right. So so that other patch we talked about, it's up on right. That's line 112.
Yeah.
I mean,
if we can get that merged before we get the NVMe fix merged, then by default it gets in.
well, right, but see, then the question is that might disallow. The way it might work is that it might block us from being able to release without unless we remove this. So we need to take a look at this carefully and make sure it's uncontroversial and unlikely to break anything.
That it's not. I mean, that line 112 patch isn't going to break anything. But let everyone else look at it. In fact, it stops things breaking.
I think at least the exception that it raises probably will need to be changed, but I will review it carefully. And this looks like maybe we should have a lock in OS break, or maybe it's just another OpenStack database bug that will never get fixed. So we need to work around it anyway. Yeah.
The customer involved had a real hard look at iSCSI database, and they think it's a fundamental issue with the iSCSI ADN database.
Yeah, we have a bunch of fixes around that. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't. All right, Gorka, let's touch base after you've had time to look at this, and we'll just decide whether it's too.
I think it's going to be safe. So because in worst case scenario, what can happen is that it's slightly slower when if it cannot do that, when it has a database problem, the OpenSCSI. That seems at the first sight what could be worse, and that's not breaking anything. The only suggestion right now you can see is that the exception that it's raising, it makes no sense to use that one because it's not searching for a device, raising an exception that could not find a device. Kind of weird. But I will have a careful look.
Yeah, no, I think what we're gonna have to do with this is we'll get Yvonne's fix in and merged and do the release because I don't want to fight with the release team about sneaking in extra stuff into the Xena release because we've got to petition for an exception to get the new OS brick allowed. So let's keep it simple, and then we can do another. OS brick releases are cheap. We can do another one like right after the coordinated release. But I think we better let's keep these things separate, or else.
All right, that's easier. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, because you're still interested in getting it into Surrey anyway. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll explain what's gone on to the customer.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate that. Okay. I'm sorry we've gone over time, so I'll stop the recording. We can have open discussion, or everybody can leave. I will stop it right now.